recap. Renegade Immortal Chapter 129. Chapter Wanshi. Wang Lin's gaze rested on the endlessly chattering Shu Liguo, and just as he was about to speak, his expression shifted ever so slightly. In that instant, Zhou Gangsan's bag of holding flew into his hand. At the same time, Wang Lin casually swept his sleeve, and several fireballs shot forth. They fell upon the bodies of the corpse sect disciples and their corpse puppets, and in the blink of an eye, flesh and bone were reduced to drifting ash. Then Wang Lin reached out with one hand and seized Shu Liguo. Shu Liguo did not dare resist in the slightest. The next moment, Wang Lin rose into the sky and vanished into the distance, leaving behind only a streak of rainbow light across the heavens. By then, the disciples from the other three sects had already finished gathering the burning gold fruits and had long since departed. Wang Lin returned to the cave. He placed the vine of the burning gold fruit upon the ground, then threw Shu Liguo forward. The moment Shu Liguo hit the floor, panic overtook him, and he hurriedly cried out, "Fellow cultivator, if there is any issue, we can discuss it. We can discuss it properly. As long as you spare my life, I can agree to anything. I was wrong before. Please, don't be angry." Shu Liguo felt bitterness filling his heart. He had once been a nascent soul expert, a figure who could have looked down upon countless cultivators. But now his body was gone, and his nascent soul had been wounded to the brink of collapse, causing his cultivation to plummet. Worse still, the price of acquiring a nascent soul cultivator's body was something he simply could not afford. He had considered possessing the body of a sect disciple, but if such a thing were discovered, endless disaster would follow. In the end, he had chosen to pay the corpse sect so he could possess a body without worry. Yet, the body he obtained belonged only to a Foundation establishment cultivator. To rebuild himself through such a vessel would require an immense amount of time, nearly the same as starting his cultivation all over again. At present, he possessed only the power of a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. His nascent soul looked impressive, but that was all it was, appearance. In truth, it held no proper strength. And before Wang Lin's overbearing Ji realm, Shu Liguo in his current state was nothing more than a paper tiger. Only if he could recover to the core formation stage would things become entirely different. But Wang Lin paid no attention whatsoever to Shu Liguo's frantic pleas. His eyes flickered, and with a movement of his hand, he shifted a stone pillar and sealed the cave shut. Seeing this, Shu Liguo inwardly groaned and slowly drifted backward until he pressed himself against the wall. Wang Lin did not stop him. Instead, he released his G-Realm Divine Sense. Red lightning roared forth. The crimson arcs shot directly toward Shu Liguo, and the moment they appeared, Shu Liguo felt a terrifying force of destruction fill the space around him. It was as if ruin itself had descended. Wang Lin's right hand then stretched out and grabbed Shu Liguo's trembling nascent soul. He stared at it carefully. Then suddenly, a strange light flashed through his eyes. When he had first seen Shu Liguo's nascent soul, a familiar feeling had stirred within him. On the journey back, he had turned that feeling over in his mind again and again, but he had been unable to place it. Only now, with the nascent soul held before him once more, did memory strike. This nascent soul resembled the wandering souls from the world of decay. Wang Lin rubbed his chin, and a thought rose within his heart. If he could devour souls here, the same way he once had in the world of decay, then his G-Realm Divine Sense would become far stronger. And those wandering souls themselves possessed fearsome might. They could devour the life of others, regardless of cultivation level. If he could gather enough wandering souls within the living world, then exacting revenge upon Teng Huayuan would no longer be a difficult matter. Even more important than that, Wang Lin understood his own weakness clearly. If he were to meet a core formation cultivator now, the only thing he could do would be flee. But if he had a wandering soul at his side, then he would at least possess the power to protect himself. And if he gathered enough wandering souls, then even against nascent soul cultivators, he would be willing to fight. He knew very well that his own methods were still too simple. The techniques he knew were only minor spells. As for magic treasures, all he truly possessed was a flying sword. After everything that had happened in Zhao, Wang Lin's mind had undergone a tremendous transformation. Every step he took now, every decision he made, served only one purpose: to make himself stronger, so that his fate would never again rest in the hands of another. As he looked at Shu Liguo's nascent soul, Wang Lin's heart stirred violently. A new idea had formed. Since I cannot bring wandering souls out of the world of decay, can I create them here? The thought caused light to flare in his eyes. He slapped his bag of holding, and a piece of metal flew out. With a single point of his finger, the metal darted to the wall and began carving out a side cave. At the same time, Wang Lin used that opportunity to send his G-realm inward and erase Shu Liguo's memories. After all, Shu Liguo had once been a nascent soul cultivator. Even though his cultivation had fallen drastically, Wang Lin still had to use the full force of his G-realm to barely accomplish the task. When it was finished, Shu Liguo's nascent soul had become a half-transparent thing devoid of awareness. By then, the cave chamber had also been completed. The metal flew back into Wang Lin's bag of holding. Wang Lin waved his right hand and cast the nascent soul into the new cave. He left behind a sliver of his G-realm divine sense to watch over it, then turned and left the cave once more. He searched among the nearby mountains and captured several small animals. All the while, Shu Liguo's nascent soul floated silently and motionlessly inside the cave. After returning, Wang Lin stood there and observed the soul for some time. Then he tossed one of the small animals toward it. The animal let out a frightened cry and scurried into the corner, utterly unaware of the soul floating in the center of the cave. Wang Lin frowned as he watched. He reinforced the G-realm guarding the chamber, then carved out yet another side cave and threw the rest of the small animals inside. After completing all of that, he slapped his forehead. The heaven-defying bead flew forth. The bead circled around Wang Lin once, then immediately plunged into the burning gold fruit vine lying beside him. At a visible rate, all of the fruits on the vine shrank and withered away. The wood element within them was completely drawn into the stone bead. Then, slowly, a third leaf appeared on the bead. By the time the vine had fully shriveled, that third leaf had become solid. A trace of joy flashed across Wang Lin's face. He reached out and grabbed, and the stone bead flew into his hand. He examined it carefully, then pressed it against his forehead. The instant it touched him, the bead entered his body. Wang Lin took a deep breath. After pondering for a while, he left the cave once more and headed toward the volcanoes. It took him 3 full days to gather every burning gold fruit vine in that entire region, harvesting them all until the plant became extinct there. When he was done, the heaven-defying bead bore 5 leaves. 3 days later, Wang Lin returned to inspect the small cave again. On the ground, he saw urine and droppings scattered about. The small animal was trembling in the corner. It had long since digested the food it had eaten 3 days earlier, and now it was weak and withered. As for Shu Liguo's nascent soul, it was still floating in midair. But if one looked closely, the soul had become even more transparent than before. It seemed as though it might fade away at any moment. Wang Lin fell into thought. Then he sent out his divine sense and drove the nascent soul toward the small animal. After some time, the soul hovered above the creature. At last, with nowhere left to retreat, the nascent soul pounced toward the small animal. Wang Lin's eyes sharpened at once. He watched as the little beast shuddered violently. Then it rose from the ground, its eyes suddenly shining with golden light. Yet that light quickly faded, and the animal collapsed. At that exact moment, Shu Liguo's nascent soul shot out from the top of the small animal's head and slammed toward the wall. The moment it struck, a miserable scream escaped it. Then it crashed against several other walls in succession, as if trapped in agony, until finally it drifted back and forth within the chamber. Wang Lin was not surprised. On the contrary, he felt pleased. He could clearly see that the nascent soul was no longer transparent as before, and within it, there was now a faint trace of madness. Without delay, Wang Lin threw the remaining small animals he had caught 3 days earlier into the cave and carefully watched what followed. The moment those small animals touched the ground, each of them fled toward the corners of the room. Fear filled their eyes, and their cries rang without stopping. But what made Wang Lin frown was that the nascent soul completely ignored them. The trace of madness vanished, and the soul became confused once again. Wang Lin pondered this for a while. Then he used his G-realm divine sense to forcibly push the nascent soul into another small animal. When that animal died and the soul burst out again, madness once more appeared in its eyes. Yet even then, the nascent soul still ignored the other small animals. Wang Lin let out a cold snort. This time, he used his G-Realm divine sense to force the nascent soul to devour the remaining small animals one by one. After doing so, the madness in its eyes grew even stronger. Wang Lin remained silent for some time, carefully considering everything. Then he left the cave again. He captured many more beasts from the nearby mountains, and he deliberately chose vicious ones. Among those beasts, there was even one that carried a strange aura. After returning, Wang Lin carved several more rooms to separate the creatures from one another. Then he lifted one savage beast, its eyes bloodshot, and its mouth letting out continuous roars, and threw it into the room where the nascent soul floated. After once more forcing the nascent soul to devour the beast using his G-Realm, Wang Lin saw the madness within the soul become even stronger. He remained outside the stone room and observed for a very long time. He did not know whether, if this continued, the nascent soul would truly become a wandering soul, the thing that people called a devil. In truth, the best way to verify such a matter would have been to capture cultivators and use them as test subjects. But Wang Lin did not dare. If the nascent soul devoured a cultivator, its cultivation might rise. And if its power grew beyond what his G-Realm could suppress, then Wang Lin himself would fall into grave danger. Thus, unless there was no other choice, he had no intention of taking such a risk. 4 days passed. By then, every beast Wang Lin had captured had already been devoured, except for the one with the strange aura. On that day, Wang Lin picked up that final beast and threw it into the stone room. Under the constant pressure of the G-Realm, the nascent soul slowly drifted toward the strange beast. But just as it was about to touch it, the nascent soul abruptly halted. It did not pounce. Instead, a look of hesitation appeared upon it. Wang Lin's G-Realm moved at once. Red lightning formed and pressed down upon the soul. At last, the nascent soul entered the beast. For a very long time afterward, the beast trembled. Then, after half an hour had passed, the beast suddenly exploded apart. From its body, a red soul burst forth and let out a roar. By now, the appearance of the nascent soul had changed completely. Its whole form glowed scarlet. A powerful aura spread from it. So powerful that even through the restrictions of his G-Realm, Wang Lin could clearly feel it. At this moment, this was no longer a soul. It had become a devil. Wang Lin's eyes shone brightly. After pondering for a while, he opened the stone room and walked inside. The devil instantly turned its head toward him and leapt. Wang Lin's gaze was icy as he stared at it. Red lightning shot out from his eyes, knocking the devil away and causing it to release a miserable cry. Savagery appeared on the devil's face as it lunged at Wang Lin once again, but Wang Lin merely waved a hand and caught it in his grasp. "You're courting death." Wang Lin's voice was cold as winter frost, and red light flashed repeatedly through his eyes. Every time his gaze flashed, the devil's body shuddered. After a short while, the devil's vicious expression disappeared and was replaced by fear. In the end, the creature's face became pitiful and pleading. Holding the devil in his hand, Wang Lin left the stone room. After returning to the chamber where he cultivated, he tossed the devil into the air. The moment it was free, ferocity returned to its face. It rushed straight toward the ceiling, trying to escape. Wang Lin sneered inwardly. His G-Realm divine sense immediately caught up to it and punished it. A miserable groan escaped the devil. A thin strand of smoke rose from its body, and its strength visibly weakened. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and took out that piece of metal. Then, in a calm, indifferent tone, he said, "Hide inside here. You are not allowed to come out unless I permit it." Fear filled the devil's eyes as it looked at Wang Lin. Then it transformed into a streak of red light and entered the piece of metal. After putting the metal away, Wang Lin cast one final regretful glance at the cave. Then he walked outside, waved his hand, and caused the entire cave to collapse inward. Without looking back, Wang Lin rose into the air and flew east. According to the memories he had gained from Mai Lang, the war god shrine was located in the east. Wang Lin had already made his decision. Since Mai Lang's memories did not reveal the location of Zhao, he would have to go personally to the war god shrine and examine the map kept within its treasury. And that was not his only reason. His blood-refined little green sword had now deteriorated into nothing more than a piece of metal, and its power had weakened greatly. Against Foundation establishment cultivators, he would not need to use it at all. But if he were to face a Core 4 formation cultivator, then this piece of metal might very well become the thing that saved his life. Because of that, he had to learn treasure refinement. That was another reason he needed to return to the War God's Shrine. They had a refining house there. And beyond all of this, there was yet another matter that could not be ignored. He needed to find a place of extreme yin. Otherwise, his cultivation would forever remain stuck at the middle stage of Foundation establishment. Only with extreme yin could he form the third cold core, enter the late stage of Foundation establishment, and then attempt to form his core. Wang Lin had already decided that he would not abandon the cultivation of the underworld ascension method. After all, Sichu Nan had once told him that after forming the 3 cold cores and merging them as one, his chances of stepping into the core formation stage would become very high. Back when he had been restoring his cultivation, because he lacked Ying spirit liquid, he had no choice but to cultivate the technique of the War God Shrine from Mai Lang's memories. Yet among all the things within that inheritance, what interested him the most was the divine path. The spiritual energy produced through the divine path carried no attribute. From an objective point of view, it was inferior to the Ying spiritual energy he had cultivated before. If Ying spiritual energy resembled an invincible sword, sharp, direct, unstoppable, then the spiritual energy cultivated through the divine path was like silk, supple, and endlessly adaptable. Still, the divine path of the War God Shrine was not without its unique value. The War God Shrine itself stood upon a heaven-piercing mountain in the eastern part of Haofen. Clouds coiled around that towering peak all year long, and spirit beasts roamed through its vast reaches. Around it stood 4 subsidiary mountains, each one housing one of the 4 subsects of the War God Shrine. As one of the 4 great head sects of the country of Haofen, the War God Shrine possessed more than 3,000 disciples. Even if one excluded the miscellaneous outer sect members, there were still roughly 2,300 disciples within its ranks. On this day, upon a low snowy peak 1 kilometer away from the War God Shrine, Zhou Zihong, Xianxia, and Lin Tao waited in silence. 3 days earlier, all 3 of them had suddenly felt their souls tremble. It was Wang Lin using their soul blood essences to send a message. He had ordered them to bring several items. The appointed time had long since passed, yet not one of them dared leave. Of the 3, Lin Tao was the most frightened. His eyes shifted constantly as he searched for something to say, yet found nothing. Zhou Zihong stood there in a daze, biting her red lips. Her thoughts were blank. Mai Lang had vanished for more than a year. She had once believed he would never appear again, but when his message reached her 3 days ago, her face had turned pale on the spot. Xianxia appeared to be the calmest. Aside from the occasional glint flashing through his eyes, he seemed the most composed of the 3. But anyone who looked carefully would have noticed that his right hand was clenched into a tight fist. Time passed little by little. Then night descended. Still, Wang Lin had not appeared. The 3 of them exchanged glances, confusion growing in their hearts. Yet 2 kilometers away, on another mountain peak, Wang Lin stood hidden and watched them coldly. Ever since the catastrophe in Zhao, Wang Lin had become exceptionally cautious. Though he held their soul blood essences in his possession, it was still possible that the 3 of them had steeled themselves to fight him to the death. So Wang Lin waited. If there were the slightest sign of anything abnormal, he would crush their soul blood essences immediately and leave. At the same time, he was observing their reactions. After all, even if they were acting, such an act could not be maintained forever. Of the 3, Lin Tao's expression seemed the most natural. From beginning to end, the man had been frightened and restless. Zhou Zihong had remained dazed the entire time. Even though she tried to hide it, confusion still lingered upon her face. After examining those 2, Wang Lin focused on Xianxia. This man's expression had indeed been calm at first. But as time passed, the calmness grew increasingly unstable. Wang Lin's gaze settled on Xianxia's right hand, and his eyes turned cold. After pondering a moment, he suddenly moved. He shot toward the 3 like a phantom. In the blink of an eye, he appeared before them, and a freezing aura spread outward. The moment they saw Wang Lin, all three of them felt their hearts shake violently, and all trace of their exhaustion disappeared. During this past year, the many events of the foreign battleground had haunted their dreams every single night. None of them truly knew how powerful Wang Lin had become. But the Mai Lang standing before them now made their hearts tremble beyond control. A feeling arose in each of them. Even if Wang Lin no longer held their soul blood essences, he could still kill all three in an instant, and they would not have the slightest power to defend themselves. Under that pressure, Lin Tao was the first to reach his limit. He dropped to his knees and called out, "Lin Tao greets master!" Xianxia and Zhou Zihong were not much better. They were only enduring Wang Lin's aura through sheer willpower. Wang Lin withdrew his G-realm divine sense. Only then did that suffocating sense of danger disappear. The three of them let out deep breaths of relief. Then Xianxia and Zhou Zihong also bowed and greeted Wang Lin. As he bent down, a trace of bitterness flashed through Xianxia's face. His right hand tightened around the jade he held. He had come here with two plans in mind. The first was to trick Wang Lin into returning to the War God Shrine, where he could seek the help of the elders and take back his soul blood essence. The second was that if Wang Lin refused to return, then Xianxia would secretly transmit Wang Lin's location using the jade in his hand. Back at the War God Shrine, his junior apprentice brother held the matching piece of jade. If Xianxia poured spiritual energy into his own jade, the one in his junior brother's possession would shine, and his junior brother would summon their master. But now, Xianxia realized just how foolish those thoughts had been. If he had truly acted on them, he would have been the first to die. The senior who had taken Mai Lang's body had to be a cultivator from a high-ranking cultivation country. How else could someone who was only at the foundation establishment stage possess a divine sense so terrifying that it made his heart tremble? Xianxia sighed inwardly and abandoned all thoughts of resistance. He took a deep breath, quickly slapped his bag of holding with his left hand, and took out a jade. Then he respectfully said, "Master, I have obtained the thing you requested from me 3 days ago. This is the jade from the refining house." Wang Lin accepted the jade and swept it with his divine sense. Without any visible change in expression, he nodded. Then his gaze shifted toward Lin Tao. Lin Tao's heart began to race. In a quiet voice, he said, "Master, that map is placed at the very top of the treasure pavilion. I cannot go up there, because my cultivation is not high enough." Seeing the expressionless look on Wang Lin's face, Lin Tao gritted his teeth and hurriedly added, 10 days! Master, just give me 10 days. By then, it will be my cousin's turn to patrol. At the very least, I can get him to help me make a copy. Wang Lin looked at him, then nodded. In an indifferent tone, he said, "If you truly obtain it, then when I leave Ho Fen, I will return your soul blood essence to you." After saying this, Wang Lin turned to Xianxia. His eyes immediately turned cold. "Ordinarily," Wang Lin said, "I would have returned your soul blood essence to you, but the item in your hand cancels out your contribution. This time, I will not kill you. As for whether I return your soul blood essence in the future, that will depend on your next performance." Xianxia's body trembled violently. His face turned pale at once. When Wang Lin had appeared earlier, especially when their eyes met, Xianxia had already been seized by a deep terror. Now he dropped to his knees, handed over the jade hidden in his right hand, and his face became taut with fear. Wang Lin no longer paid him any attention. Instead, he turned his gaze toward Zhou Zihong. Zhou Zihong clenched her teeth, raised her beautiful face, and said, "Senior, that divine path is extremely strange. Although I saw it 6 months ago, afterward I couldn't remember anything. So I'm unable to make a copy of the jade that records the technique. Actually, Senior does not need to go through such trouble. With Mai Lang's contribution in the foreign battleground, once you return to the sect, you will naturally be permitted to study it." From all the memories Wang Lin had taken from Mai Lang, the thing that interested him the most was precisely this divine path. Mai Lang himself had dreamed of studying it. For reasons unknown, the War God Shrine was extraordinarily strict when it came to allowing its own disciples to learn the divine path. Outsiders, on the other hand, needed only to pay spirit stones at appointed times in exchange for the chance to study it. But for disciples of the war god shrine, the requirements were entirely different. A disciple had to either reach the core formation stage or render major merit to the sect. Only after fulfilling one of those conditions would they be allowed to study the divine path under the supervision of an elder. From Wang Lin's point of view, this alone was enough to prove that the divine path must contain something unusual. Perhaps it was because if a Foundation establishment disciple tried to study it without protection, danger would arise. When Wang Lin had asked Zhou Zihong to make a copy earlier, he had never truly expected her to succeed, so now he felt no disappointment. He looked carefully at all three of them. Then he spoke in a gentle voice, "The three of you do not need to be so wary in my presence. As long as you do not provoke me, then when I leave Hofen, I will return your soul blood essences. But if any of you dare scheme against me, then do not blame me for showing no mercy." The wind howled across the vast sky, carrying with it the faint scent of ash and distant mountains as Wang Lin's voice fell like a quiet decree. "The three of you can return. Lin Tao, I will wait for you here in 10 days. His words were calm, yet carried an unshakable finality, like a blade that had already been drawn. Before anyone could respond further, his figure drifted backward, his body lifting into the heavens. A streak of rainbow-colored light trailed behind him as he shot into the sky, vanishing into the horizon like a fleeting star. Below, Lin Tao quickly cupped his hands in acknowledgement, his mind already racing. Once he returned, he knew what had to be done. This was no trivial matter. It was a path that bordered life and death. No matter the cost, he had to obtain that map from his cousin, even if it meant tearing apart old bonds. Xianxia stood frozen where he was. His robes were soaked through with cold sweat, clinging to his skin as a bitter wind swept across him. The chill seeped into his bones, but it was nothing compared to the icy dread gripping his heart. Just moments ago, he had been standing at the edge of death itself. One wrong step, and he would have been erased from this world. Zhou Zihong glanced at him calmly, her expression unchanged, her gaze as indifferent as flowing water. Without a word, she turned and left, her figure soon disappearing into the distance. High above, Wang Lin continued to fly. The clouds parted around him as he moved without direction, yet his thoughts churned violently within. His mind replayed everything that had happened, every word, every reaction. Suddenly, his eyes lit with clarity. No matter what, he could not go to the war god shrine. Even if those three showed no signs of betrayal, the secrets he carried were far too dangerous. In front of a nascent soul cultivator, such secrets would be laid bare like fragile glass beneath a hammer. It was even possible that the ancestor had already discovered everything, that he had taken over Mai Liang's body. The moment this thought surfaced, a faint chill crept into Wang Lin's heart. His expression darkened, and without hesitation, his speed surged forward like a streak of lightning. This possibility he had already considered before, but the subtle actions of Xianxia's group had only strengthened his suspicion. Just as he sped through the sky, a voice suddenly drifted into his ears, soft, gentle, almost like a whisper carried on petals. "Little friend, could you please return my disciple's soul essence blood?" The voice was sweet, soothing, yet it carried an invisible pressure that pierced straight into the soul. Wang Lin's body halted instantly. Before him, space seemed to ripple. An enchanting woman stepped forward, her figure emerging as if from mist. Her steps were light, so light they seemed to glide across the air itself. Each movement stirred a faint rustling sound, like silk brushing against leaves. She wore a blue court dress, adorned with triangular emerald ornaments that shimmered with every motion. A delicate belt wrapped around her waist, from which long ribbons flowed and danced behind her. The attire gave her an air of intelligence, of elegance, of someone who stood above the mortal world. Her beauty was beyond ordinary words. Her face bore no trace of makeup, yet a natural rosy glow adorned her cheeks. Her skin was smooth and pale like jade, radiating a quiet vitality. As she approached, Wang Lin retreated. Step by step, he maintained a precise distance between them. His hand moved to rest on his bag of holding, his gaze turning cold and sharp. Outwardly, his expression remained calm. But within, every nerve was taut. He could not see through her cultivation at all. This woman was undoubtedly a nascent soul cultivator. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed slightly as he spoke with measured calm. May I ask, what is the name of Senior's disciple? The woman smiled gently. Her voice flowed like a spring breeze. My disciple is named Zhou Zihong. Wang Lin nodded without hesitation. Very well. His tone became firm. Once this junior is 1,000 kilometers away, I will return the soul essence blood. Otherwise, even if Senior acts, I will ensure it is destroyed before you can retrieve it. The woman studied him quietly. Then she spoke, her voice still gentle, yet laced with amusement. Little friend, there is no need to be so nervous. I have already heard about you from Zihong. It was thanks to your actions that the three of them were able to return safely to the War God Shrine. She paused slightly. For that alone, we can overlook the matter of you possessing Mai Liang. Her gaze softened. And more importantly, you saved Zihong. For that, I can forgive everything that has happened. Wang Lin was momentarily stunned. His eyes carefully examined hers, searching for deception. But what he saw was sincerity. After a brief silence, he spoke again. Senior, please forgive my caution. I must insist. Once I am 1,000 kilometers away, I will return it. The woman lifted her hand gracefully, a gesture so elegant it could stir the hearts of countless men. She shook her head lightly and laughed. 1,000 kilometers? Her tone held a hint of teasing. I'll call you Mai Liang then. Mai Liang, 1,000 kilometers is but a few breaths for me. Her eyes glimmered faintly. If I truly wished to kill you, unless you fled 10,000 kilometers away, it would make no difference. She sighed softly. But if you insist, then go. Without another word, Wang Lin's body transformed into a streak of rainbow light and shot into the distance. Time passed. Half an hour later, he had already traveled 3,000 kilometers. He stopped at the mouth of a volcano. The ground beneath him cracked and scorched. The air trembled with heat, and faint smoke curled upward from the depths below. Wang Lin sat briefly, regulating the spiritual energy within his body. After stabilizing himself, he raised his hand and pointed to his forehead. A silver speck of light slowly emerged, faint yet filled with life. Zhao Zihong's soul essence blood. Without hesitation, he released it. The moment it floated free, Wang Lin didn't even spare it another glance. His body rose once more, vanishing into the sky as he continued his journey. As he flew, his thoughts lingered on the woman's words. True or false? It no longer mattered. To provoke a nascent soul cultivator now would be courting death. Thus, returning the soul essence blood was the wisest choice. Moments later, at the volcano's mouth, the woman appeared silently. She extended her right hand, and the silver speck flew toward her, landing gently in her palm. Her expression softened. A tender, loving gaze filled her eyes as she looked at it. Carefully, she stored it away. Then, she turned her gaze toward the direction Wang Lin had gone. Her voice was barely a whisper. You saved Hong-er and returned her soul essence blood without hesitation. A faint smile appeared. I will resolve the matter of possession for you. Time flowed like a silent river. For 2 days, Wang Lin flew without pause, stopping only briefly to rest. The woman never appeared again. Gradually, the tension in his heart eased. But then, his eyes sharpened. Something below had caught his attention. At that very moment, several streaks of sword light tore through the sky from afar. They were heading straight toward him. Upon seeing Wang Lin, they abruptly changed direction and descended toward him. 7 or 8 young cultivators landed nearby. Their gazes were hostile. Among them, one young man stood at the front. His face was pale like jade, his features refined and noble. His cultivation had reached the late stage of foundation establishment, already stepping into pseudo-core formation. He wore a purple robe and stood atop a green flying sword, exuding an aura of superiority. Beside him stood a young girl dressed in red. A faint blush colored her pale face, making her appear delicate and endearing. The young man's eyes were cold. He turned to the girl and asked quietly, Wan-er? Is it him? The girl looked at Wang Lin carefully. After a moment, she shook her head and smiled apologetically. Brother, it is not him. Although that person was skilled in disguise, he could not imitate this person's temperament. The coldness in the young man's eyes vanished. He cupped his hands politely. Fellow cultivator, please forgive us. I am Li Qiqing of the Lu He sect. We meant no offense. Wang Lin's expression remained unchanged. It is nothing. Since it was a misunderstanding, there is no need to dwell on it. Li Qiqing laughed lightly. I believe fellow cultivator is also heading to the Ravine Workshop Assembly. Perhaps we may meet again. He paused. But I have urgent matters to attend to today, so I will take my leave. With that, he clasped his hands once more, grabbed the girl beside him, and departed with the others. Silence returned. Wang Lin glanced downward. Without speaking, he moved forward. Before long, he frowned. His hand reached into his bag of holding, retrieving a piece of metal. Without hesitation, he slammed it into the ground. A loud bang echoed. Moments later, a miserable figure burst out from the earth 20 meters away. The man looked ordinary in every aspect, except for his sharp, calculating eyes. He raised his hands quickly. Fellow cultivator, this is a misunderstanding. Truly a misunderstanding. As he spoke, he glanced around nervously before leaping into the air. A flying sword appeared beneath his feet, carrying him toward Wang Lin. I am Sun Yukai, he said hurriedly. I didn't intend to follow you, but I had no choice. That girl from the Lu He sect is after me. I can't defeat them, so I can only hide. He leaned closer. They're still searching, but if I follow you, that Li Qiqing won't notice me. Wang Lin glanced at him briefly. Then he turned and continued flying, completely ignoring him. Sun Yukai hurried after him. Fellow cultivator, which sect are you from? I am a disciple of the evil devil sect. Wang Lin said nothing. His spiritual energy surged as his speed increased dramatically, leaving Sun Yukai behind. But, in the blink of an eye, Sun Yukai reappeared beside him. He grinned. Fellow cultivator, I truly apologize for earlier. It's all that girl's fault. He leaned in conspiratorially. You're heading to the Ravine Workshop, right? Why not travel together? I know many people there. I can even help you acquire a few chi condensation females as furnaces. Wang Lin's heart stirred slightly. What speed? He turned his head and smiled faintly. That smile caused a sudden chill to crawl up Sun Yukai's spine. But it vanished just as quickly. He shook his head internally. This person was only at mid-foundation establishment. He, Sun Yukai, was at late foundation establishment. There was no way he could be mistaken. He smiled again. Well, what do you say, fellow cultivator? Wang Lin sneered inwardly. Then he nodded. Very well. I'll trouble brother Sun. Sun Yukai was momentarily stunned. He hadn't expected such an easy agreement. All the words he had prepared became useless. But he quickly recovered, smiling brightly. No trouble at all. It was my fault for using you earlier. What is your name? Wang Lin replied calmly. My name is Mai Liang. I am a disciple of the War God Shrine. A faint smile appeared on his face. In Sun Yukai's eyes, it seemed naive, but only Wang Lin knew the truth hidden beneath it. Sun Yukai's eyes gleamed mischievously. He glanced around before whispering, Brother Mai, I heard your War God Shrine has a beauty named Zhou Ziwei. He chuckled. Our future sect leader saw her 6 months ago and was completely captivated. He leaned closer. You're from the War God Shrine. Is she truly that beautiful? Wang Lin was slightly startled. Zhou Ziwei? He paused. Are you referring to Zhou Zihong, elder apprentice Sister Zhou? Sun Yukai slapped his forehead. Ah, that's right, Zhou Zihong. He grinned. So, how does she look? Wang Lin nodded slowly. Elder apprentice Sister Zhou is indeed very beautiful. He paused briefly. But her personality is cold. I have only seen her a few times. The wind continued to howl, and beneath the vast sky, 2 cultivators moved forward together, each with their own thoughts, each hiding their own intentions, and neither as simple as they appeared.